Yeah, alright, everybody, and welcome to another episode of One Take. And I'm back with my friend here, That Simone Guy, Caleb. Welcome back to the channel, That Simone Guy, again here.
Bus driver,
Bus
move
driver.
that bus.
Oh,
There's
is
a
that is
there's
that
a
what you're trying to do? Move that bus with like extreme makeover?
No, I'm trying to date myself horribly and let everyone know just how fucking old I am. Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me back. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to do this again because we did this again, similarly last year where we just did like a halfway point list,
Hmm.
essentially. Well, this is more than halfway of the year actually, so I feel like
Yeah, that's my bad.
no, it's fine. I feel like we've seen a lot of films this year already to kind of get our good and worst uh opinions out of the way, you
Yeah,
know.
this is more like
Uh,
a 2/3 of the year
yeah,
list.
almost in a way. Yeah. Um, actually, I kind of want to start off with the worst stuff of the year just to get the shit out of the way. You know, like
Okay,
get the shit before we get to the Sunday. You know what I mean.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I do that every morning. I get the
I
shit out
think
of the way.
that's what I do after I drink coffee.
That's
um,
what we made the same joke just in two different ways. You were
um,
much more like obvious and funny about it, and I was like low key and
you were direct about it. She was like,
yeah.
great.
Coffee
um,
makes me poop.
Did you want to go first? Because I went first last time in the last list.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll go first.
Let's see here.
But
Okay, so what? So we won't be doing any honorable or dishonorable mentions yet, not until the last year, end of the year list.
yeah,
I'd say we could keep that for now, so we could just go
yeah,
straight into it. So, without further ado, what is your first one on this worst of list? Your number five.
yeah. I think doing like a if we did top five, but also did honorable and dishonorable mentions. At that point, it's like, well, then it may as well just be a top 10.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's just not do that for now.
Yeah. So I'll start us off with something that I actually didn't totally hate, but by just the sheer fact that I haven't seen a whole lot of bad movies so far this year, which I guess is a good thing, right?
That is a
Um,
good thing, but there are some movies out there that have been pretty bad too. So
it's true. It's just that by the fact that I haven't seen too many of them, my number five is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
oh,
Uh,
I actually did see this one recently, and I didn't hate it either. I actually thought it was a pretty decent
yeah,
Transformers movie.
yeah, it's fine. But like, I think that it starts off stronger than it ends. I think that there's more potential in the first part of the movie, and then as it kind of goes on, it doesn't really live up to that potential, and it starts to get kind of a little more toward not more towards the Michael Bay movies, not in an exploitative way, but just in that kind of like, are we done yet? Or I'm getting bored. It's just the same. It's just the same shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The climax is very similar.
Muted on the fucking recording. God dang it. It's all good. I would say the action was decent in this one still. Like it wasn't as nonsensical as the Michael Bay ones. But I do agree with you though that I did feel like it ended less strong than it started off. I thought the
Hmm.
beginning act was actually really strong in how it set it up, its story and characters, honestly. I actually think the human characters were actually not as annoying compared to the Michael Bay ones in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah,
Like the Michael Bay
leaps and bounds.
characters are just so annoying.
I had just gone through like I was watching one of the I went back and rewatched the Transformers movies, and I was watching basically like one a week or something like that leading up to this, and boy howdy, it is a breath of fresh air to see human characters act like human characters to some degree, and also not be portrayed terribly by bad actors. The archaeologist chick, I could take or leave. She's kind of a shitty actress, but also like I feel like she was only there to get us from one point to another. I don't feel like she really served any kind of emotional reason for being in the movie. And that little kid can suck it. That little kid, if they never act another day, if this movie is the only thing they're in for the rest of their life, if it's a Newt kind of situation, I think that'd be okay with that.
I actually
Um,
like the archaeologist chick. She was really good in the film last year called. Do you remember Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield?
I wanted to see that, but I didn't get to.
She was fantastic in that film. She actually stood out to me in that film, other than Daniel Kaluuya. So, and she got nominated too for that film. So I thought she was a great actress. I just think she wasn't working with a lot with this script, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
the character, yeah, was just there to give us a reason, a very convenient reason every time. Like, oh, we needed that exact thing that I happen to know. It's this. I'm like, okay, great. I'm glad we didn't waste any time trying to like figure anything out because that would have been like interesting.
I did like Anthony Ramos as the main
Yeah.
character, though. He was a
Oh,
good actor.
yeah. He's very good. He has a lot. He has good energy. He's very relatable as like an everyman. And I think the '80s setting, the aesthetic, definitely helped the movie's uh, tone. Definitely helped to give it an identity.
I think
Unlike
what
the other movies, which don't really have one.
I think the only other film before this that had an identity was Bumblebee, the prequel,
Hmm.
which I really
Hmm.
loved. I actually still think that's the best one out of the franchise, in my opinion, still, because that's the most relatable characters and action is the best, in my opinion. I,
Well, and it's concise and it's not overly complicated.
yeah, and also Haley Steinfeld was just really fucking good in that movie too.
It,
So,
it's also here's a surprise. It's actually about the Transformers.
oh my god, tell me about it. Like, it's actually about their world, and like, yes, they actually show Cybertron in both of these films. So it's like,
The Transformers actually do shit in Bumblebee. Wow, what a surprise.
so
What a
yeah,
novel
while
idea.
Rise of the Beast isn't perfect, I still think it is better than most of the Transformers movies. I do
Yeah,
understand why it's on your list, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as I think it is either.
no. I mean, comparatively, the Michael Bay Transformer movies are like stepping on a rusty nail and getting tetanus and being awake for the entire operation with no kind of numbing agent. And Rise of the Beast is kind of like stepping on a rake and then it hits you in the face.
Or it could just describe it as wisdom teeth pulling.
And so, what's your number five?
Oh shit, it's my turn. Oh shit. um, so my number five, um, has to be one of my biggest disappointments of the year, honestly,
Okay.
because I was really looking forward to this one, honestly, from the trailers, and to see it end up how it ended up in this big screen was kind of really like, huh, really? This is what we
Yeah.
got? And I'm talking about The Flash from DC.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this one, honestly, because I will admit the trailers really kind of convinced me that okay, this could actually be really good, you know, like, and
Hmm.
then I heard from like Tom Cruise and then Stephen King and then all these other celebrities are saying, oh my god, it's the best DC movie ever since The Dark Knight. Oh my god, it's gonna change cinema. I went into that theater with my friends, and next thing you know, we're in disbelief. Honestly, we were like, "That's the best DC movie since The Dark Knight." Really? That's what people were hyping it up to be. Listen, I do think there are some good things with this film. Like, there are some good things to talk about. For instance, as much as problematic as they are, Ezra Miller is good in this film. Like, I actually think he does give a good performance as both a Barry's in this. Um, and for I actually thought Sasha Calle as Supergirl was really fun too, and it was of course a blast to see Michael Keaton again in that suit, you know. But the rest of the movie was just like a complete bloated CGI fest in a way, you know. Oh, are you still there, man?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just munching.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, oh, it's just so quiet. But yeah,
I recognize the name of The girl you mentioned playing Supergirl. Do I know her from something?
No, she's actually a completely new actress. From
Okay.
what I know, this is one of her first movie roles. She's really
All right.
well done. Like she actually did a really good job as Supergirl, and I would love to see her again actually in James Gunn's universe, in his
Mm.
rebooted universe. But yeah, like oh my god, like I guess to spoil some things like within this film, like I'm pretty sure you saw the cameos and the CGI on them and stuff like that. Did you
A
not see the?
little bit. Yeah, some of them. I know of some of them.
It's a lot worse on the screen, honestly, when you see it on there, cause oh, god, it looked ugly. Like it looked like a PS2 game ugly. Like
Ugh.
it's not appealing at all. Like you know how like last year we talked about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That movie,
Yeah.
while it wasn't perfect, it still brought actors from like different worlds like into the screen. Like it wasn't a CGI fest, you know. Like they had actual people for the cameos. This is like
No.
it's just like I heard that they used like a bunch of AI tech, and it's just like ugh, it's so ugly looking. Like and like the story just like it's like how you said about Transformers. The story kind of really deviates in that third act. Like it goes downhill fast as soon as the third act hits. Oh, it's like a big jumbled multiversal mess at the third act, and it's like what the fuck is going on?
What's happening?
Yeah.
I've I've heard it described as I think it was a parade of corpses.
Oh my god. Yes, that's exactly how you can describe this fucking film, dude. It's a parade of a bunch of like messy, like corpse-filled, colorful CGI mess, and it's like, ugh. It doesn't sit right to me that they got
Hmm.
some actors like from the past like to do that type of stuff, considering they're
Yeah.
not alive and can approve that stuff. So it's like,
Hmm.
ugh. I don't know. It didn't sit right to me, and that's why I did put The Flash in my bottom five of this year because it was just so disappointing.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't think you saw it yet, right?
Nope. Don't know that I'm gonna.
I don't know if you want to, but
I
but
mean, I do need to fill out because I mean, as we just established, I haven't seen many bad movies this year, so I do need to fill out my list a little bit. But I've got some other things in mind.
I got you. All right. Well, I'm done ranting about The Flash. What's your number four?
I have Renfield for my number four.
Oh, the Nicolas
Um.
Cage film.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I didn't see this one yet, but I heard mixed things about it.
Yeah. Kind of a fucking mess, actually. Kind of a huge fucking mess. Um, it starts off with some of the most annoying, like tonal whiplash. It's like driving with a parking brake on. It's so weird and inconsistent, and like there's a couple of good jokes, but then they have a couple good ideas, and then the movie kind of mellows out a little bit, and it kind of gets a rhythm going. But then every time that they do what they promised with the trailers, i.e., the toxic relationship between Dracula and Renfield, every time they start to build that up again, the movie rips you back to Aquafina's character and her weird, like, police daddy issues. And it's like, I don't care about any of this. And also, it doesn't help that I'm like, not she cannot hold up a movie by herself with this especially not this movie, when it's like, is she the comic relief, is she supposed to be like
The
sympathetic,
romance.
is she a romantic interest, is she the hero? I don't understand what's happening. And like, oh god, what's his name,
Nicholas
Jean
Holt.
no Jean
Oh,
Ralphio from Parks and
oh!
Recreation.
I thought you were talking about the main actor. Sorry. You're talking
No,
about freaking Ben Schwartz.
thank you. Him snorting a centipede like it's a drug is not like That's literally, I'm like, that's a cute idea. But then the movie keeps going and it forces you to engage with it. And I'm like, this is lame. And like, I also don't mind when something is like very clearly fake blood, when it's clearly CGI blood. I don't necessarily mind that all the time. But for God's sake, there's a part where someone is swinging severed limbs around like nunchucks. Blood is flying everywhere, but it's not staying on anything. You know what I mean? The set is basically bloodless. The characters
So
are
it's all
basically
CGI
bloodless.
blood, and there's nothing there.
But yeah, and again, I don't mind if there's CGI blood flying around, but I'm not stupid. I know that blood makes a mess, and it would actually be funnier if the characters were caked in blood by the time the scene was over.
That's just
But
weird to me, because like it's a vampire movie, but they're afraid to use blood.
I don't think they're afraid to use it. I think they're fucking lazy because the movie's also edited like honestly, like you took a kid and blindfolded them like a birthday and spun them around and said, "Okay, now edit the movie." Because there's so many times where I'm like, that character wasn't done talking. Why did you cut away from them? They were still in the middle of their sentence. Or like that they do that annoying thing where like their back is to the camera and they're clearly not talking because you people move when they speak, you know, their
Oh, you
shoulders.
know when it's
They're
obvious
clearly
dubbing.
uh-huh.
Oh god
And
damn
like
it.
it's like bad ADR the movie.
Oh
This
god
thing
damn
is an
it.
absolute mess.
That, dang, the way you described it does not make it sound appealing at all. Because I thought it could have been appealing with Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult as Dracula and
Yeah.
Renfield. That sounds amazing, honestly. But I guess
Yeah.
there was just so many tonal shifts from what you're describing, and the editing is bad too.
Yeah. Terrible.
That's a bit of a shame because I was actually really looking forward to seeing this. I mean, I could still see it on Peacock, but I'm a bit worried about seeing it though.
I mean, if you're seeing it for free
Yeah, that's
and
true.
like again, like if you're like me and you're like, oh, there's some movies on my list that are just kind of disappointing. I didn't really hate them. You could give Renfield, and if nothing else, I'm like, it is only an hour and a half.
That is short, so it wouldn't waste too
Yeah,
much of my time. Unlike
yeah,
3 hour movies
yeah,
that would waste my time.
yeah. Ooh, that sounded ominous.
No, 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 it's not ominous actually. Actually, surprisingly, I don't have any 3 hour movies on my list here. Actually, all of my movies here are like just at the cusp of 2 hours. So they're on my worst list here. But
Given the scope of modern movies, that's kind of surprising.
I know. But speaking of which, should I go to my number 4, or are you
Hmm.
still talking about Renfield?
No, I'll get an aneurysm if I keep talking about Renfield. You go.
My number 4 is Operation Fortune Rise to Gear. I don't know if you heard of this. It's Guy Ritchie's film with Jason Statham and Hugh Grant and Josh Hartnett.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I saw
And
this.
my former love interest, Aubrey Plaza. I'm very happy for her. I'm glad she's moved on. I'm glad she's doing okay. I just want it out there.
So I saw this film
Taking it
with
about.
my dad because we both love Guy Ritchie.
Mm.
Well, at least some of his films. I love Snatch and Lock, Stock, and honestly, like Rock and Rolla was pretty underrated as well from him. So I like a lot of his films actually. There are
I've never
some.
actually. Sorry, I've never actually seen Rock and Rolla.
That's not bad. It's with Gerard Butler, and it's honestly pretty good. Like, and so Idris
Mm.
Elba too. So,
Hmm.
and I will say he's had a few misses too with Aladdin and like a few other stuff too. You know, with the Aladdin remake that came out a couple years ago. But
Hmm.
he actually released 2 movies this year. This one and The Covenant. But The Covenant I haven't seen yet, but I do want to see it at some point. It's with Jake Gyllenhaal, and I did hear that was actually really good. So I did want to see that one. But this film, ugh, it was just so bland compared to his other stuff. Like, if you compare this to something like Snatch, Snatch is like so snappy and fast and honestly, like I love the characters of that movie. Like freaking Brad Pitt with that stupid Irish accent and stuff like
Snatch,
that.
yeah, Snatch has a lot of energy to it.
And then Benicio del Toro as one of the thieves. Dennis
Mhm.
Farah's in it. Oh my god! Like the cast in that film, Vinnie Jones. Like everybody was fantastic in that film. Honestly, this film, honestly, Jason Statham looks like he's phoning it in. Like he looks like he's kind of sleeping through it. Honestly, which is kind of surprising considering like he's been very charismatic in a lot of Guy Ritchie films at this point.
Well, he's
But
probably tired
he's
from
probably is tired.
fighting the Meg.
He probably is tired from fighting in Guy Ritchie films. He probably just wants to focus. Oh wait, you just made a Meg joke. Whoops. I didn't even see the Meg. Yeah, you just made a Meg joke.
Nope, sure fucking did.
I have to say, yeah, this was pretty bland from in terms of Guy Ritchie films. The story wasn't interesting. The action and editing wasn't interesting.
Mm.
Um, Aubrey Plaza was surprisingly flat in it, and I love Aubrey Plaza, but I just think she wasn't given enough to work with, though,
Mhm.
because that's just how Guy Ritchie jokes are. Sometimes they're kind of flat at some points, but
Well, that I might actually have an answer for some of
what's
that.
that answer?
Well, we were kind of messaging back and forth and talking about. I can't go into like super great detail about what we were talking about because I'm not that kind of person. But like, we were going through it. She's feeling some kind of way, and apparently, like the shooting schedule was right around that time because this movie got delayed quite a bit.
It did get
It was
delayed.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to come out this year. It was supposed to come out a
It's
long ass time
because of
ago.
COVID though and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was right during like our heyday when like things were at their high point, but also kind of like with great passion comes a lot of negative emotion. We were both just kind of dealing with quarantine differently, so I might have been responsible for some of her energy being drained during shooting.
Oh my
If she,
goodness.
if, you, if she seemed a little like low key, it's again, I'm not going to go into detail on Mike about it, but uh, I can at least offer that like it wasn't because she didn't care. It wasn't because she wasn't interested. She was probably just a little drained. We were both drained. That whole 9 month stint was a lot for both of us.
I could see that in the film, the final product. um, I will say this: there is one positive to come out of this. It did
Mm.
bring back Josh Hartnett, the limelight, and I'm glad he's
Oh,
back
really?
into acting. Yes, he's actually in a lot of stuff lately. We'll talk about that in a bit, but I'm glad he's back into acting. Honestly,
Mm.
I think I'm done talking about this film. What's your number
Okay.
three?
Okay, my number three might get. Okay. I'm gonna confess. Sometimes I get your movie opinions and my friend Austin's movie opinions confused. So I don't know if this is gonna make you mad or if this is gonna
Make
be a
Austin
like,
mad?
oh shit, let's talk about it. My number three is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh, okay. Because I actually saw this one too, and
Yeah.
before you get into it, I just want to say I actually kind of like this film. It's not
Mm-hmm.
perfect, I will admit it, but I had a fun time with it compared to Crystal Skull at least. So that's just to me at least. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know like what made it feel like that you had to put it on your worst list this year though.
I would probably rather watch Crystal Skulls.
Oh, okay. So you actually prefer Crystal Skull. Okay, so you're. This is
not for
interesting.
not for a good reason.
This
Not
is.
for a
I
good
know.
reason.
This is interesting because my fam. I saw this whole movie with all my family too, and
Mm.
they thought it was okay, but they also were like, man, Crystal Skull had a better ending to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm curious as to why people feel this way, and I guess I'm gonna know why you're feeling this way about Dial Destiny compared to Crystal Skull. What made you prefer Crystal Skull over Dial Destiny?
Because Crystal Skulls felt like it was missing the mark so much in such a wild way that it almost felt like when what are they called? There's a movie studio called Asylum that tends
Oh,
to
the
put out
cheap ass studio, yeah.
Yes, they tend to put out, when I Am Legend was in theaters, they put out I Am Omega. When the
Yeah, or when they,
Transformers came into theaters, they put
yeah,
Transmorphers.
or
They
when
did
they do
them.
Jurassic World, they did Jurassic Morpheus or something like that. Yeah,
Yes, I call them mockbusters, where they're
I
just
think
kind of
that's what they
aping off
are.
of.
I think that's what it's
Yeah, they
called.
generally they try to cash in on the average moviegoer's confusion with the brand
I
and
think
get them to rent the wrong movie.
I think I know where you're leading on to this with this one.
Crystal Skulls was so wildly off base for an Indiana Jones movie that it felt like a high budget asylum movie. Especially with some of the green screen, like that whole tree forest sequence. I'm like, this is terrible.
Does not hold up in the slightest.
No, no, it really doesn't. But with some time to heal, they say time heals all things. I was trying to tell Aubrey this before, but you know, uh, when looking back on Crystal Skulls, if I take out my contacts and just watch it as a movie, it's still bad. But like with Dial of Destiny, I never at any point felt that I was watching anything. It's weird. It's this weird void where I was like, this doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. But it didn't go quite as far as Crystal Skulls did. It didn't, not till the end. In the last 10-15 minutes, it definitely did.
Oh, the last
But
10 minutes of this movie is bonkers, man. Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. I actually, that's one of those things where you're kind of like, did a whole new movie just start? Because I gotta go. We've been here for 2.5 hours. I gotta go home. I don't have time for a whole
Dude,
other
I was
movie.
like, holy shit, they're actually doing this.
I actually would have really appreciated if all like half the footage in the trailers was just a fucking lie. And like imagine if after the 40-minute mark in Dial of Destiny, imagine if that's where that moments the last 10-15 minutes, if that happened in the first 40 minutes
Oh.
of the movie and all of the stuff they put in the promotional material was just a lie and the movie's completely different, this would have been my number one of the year.
Yo, that was like, oh shit, like that last 20 minutes of the film, honestly,
Mhm.
like is the most craziest thing I've ever seen in an Indiana Jones movie. Like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty nuts.
Like
But every
oh sorry, but just to clarify though, like I actually think the last 20 minutes were my favorite part of this film because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Holy shit, they're actually going through with this because it's not as ridiculous as it sounds. Honestly, I mean, Indiana
No.
Jones has always dealt with the fantasy world. Like
Mhm.
we've had ghosts pop out of an Ark of Covenant. We've had people's hearts ripped out and they're still alive and breathing. We've had a knight thousands of years old protecting a holy grail. It's like it's not like Indiana Jones hasn't been dipping its toes into this type of stuff before.
It's true. And like the way they present it visually, I'm like, I'm on board with this. This is classy. This is a good way to do it. But that was the first moment in the movie where I felt something.
You're talking about the first 2/3 though are just so boring to you though.
I wouldn't even say. I mean, yes, there are moments of boredom, but there are. I flip flop back and forth between boredom and just a strange sense of indifference, where I was like, I feel like I'm watching a really expensive, like Indiana Jones fan fiction coming to life. It doesn't feel. Crystal Skulls again is so far afield from what I would think Indiana Jones is, but it occasionally gets it right
It still
every now
has
and
that
then.
Spielberg magic, you know? It
It
still has
does.
that Spielberg
Yeah.
magic.
And that thank you. I was just gonna get into that. That's the fucking difference. It still had Spielberg attached. Is he a different director? Is he a little disillusioned and he's a different kind? Yes, absolutely. But you still feel that presence, that touch when he's at the motorcycle sequence, the bare knuckle fist fight with the right before the ants kill
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
The whole intro really to Crystal Skulls is pretty great.
It's a Spielberg
Um,
movie. It is a
it
Spielberg
is.
movie.
Yes, and that's the honestly, I'm like, once you take that out of Indiana Jones, what is the point anymore? And this is what we get is Dial of Destiny, where I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's telling the same jokes, it's doing all the stuff that we know, but like when it doesn't feel the same, it feels hollow to me. So it never, even like the chase sequence, like the horse, I was like, I'm not interested in this like at all. It's too
Or
slow.
like the tuk-tuk chase. That was kind of slow too in a way, don't you think?
It definitely was. And also like Shia as Mutt,
Mutt, yeah.
I hate him. I honestly, he's a pretty natural actor. Like, and again, that Spielberg, I know for a fact Spielberg got down in that scene, like physically into the scene, and was working with them and talking with them and stuff. Comparing him to whoever the hell not short round they had in this, I was like, this is not the same thing. This is, you can't just get, it's the, and that kid had the same thing, the same backstory as short round. Like, oh yeah, I found this
He comes
kid.
from tragedy.
He was robbing me, and then oh now we're friends. It's like I've
Oh,
heard this
and he
before.
somehow knows how to drive or fly. Yeah, he has that
Hmm.
skill. But I mean, they do show like that he does want to fly, but it's like, damn, they really went there, huh?
In the same way that, and this is something I didn't like about Mutt, when he is talking with Indy and he kind of just off key, offhandedly just kind of mentions like, oh yeah, fancy prep schools, they teach you how to fence, and then blah blah blah, so that later it can make sense that he knows how to sword fight conveniently for a fight scene that we didn't need. It's like, so that one line, that one throwaway line was supposed to set up an entire thing about his character, huh? All right, that
Also,
seems a
I'm
little.
just tired of Hollywood wasting Antonio Banderas. Like, he is a good actor, guys. Stop wasting
Shit.
him.
Oh my god, I forgot he was in the movie.
I know! It's like, stop wasting him, because I just saw him on the poster, and I was like, oh shit, he was in this movie.
That whole underwater sequence was such a dud for me. I was like,
I think
I
it could have
can't
been
tell
really
what's
cool.
happening. It could have been, but it's so slow. It's so dark. And ultimately, I'm like, the stakes. I'm not feeling any of them. The only person that showed up and understood the assignment was Mads Mikkelsen.
I
He
love
has
Mads
some of the
Mikkelsen.
he has some of the best. They give him some of the best lines in the franchise, and he
Yeah,
pulls it off. He pulls it off like he's been doing it for. Well, I mean, I guess he has been doing it for years, but I mean,
played a
he's
villain
always
really
been a
well.
good villain.
He's
Yeah,
been
he's like, I love him. I love his Hannibal Lecter, but now he's like racist Hannibal Lecter.
erase or you could say he's Le Chiffre from Casino Royale, similar to that
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, racist Le Chiffre.
So many people forget that he was in a James Bond movie. I was like, he was in the best James Bond
He
movie.
was
What
in
are you
the
talking
first and
about?
best one. What are you talking about from Daniel Craig? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's the best. That's my favorite Daniel Craig Bond movie.
it's my favorite one, other than probably Skyfall. I would say, yeah, that one's really good
Mm.
too. But yeah, I know I found some entertainment with Dial of Destiny, but you have it on your list though, because you found it a dud though.
Yeah, I just, and especially, I guess part of it is the marquee value. When it says Indiana Jones, there's a certain expectation that I have, and I didn't think that it was going to meet every expectation, but I also thought that it would, because they were bothering to make the movie, and Harrison Ford cried when he talked about how much he wanted to make the movie. I thought the movie was gonna still, I was open to it surprising me in other ways, but every time I looked for it to, I expected it to subvert an expectation or to show me something new. It disappointed me up until the last 10 minutes, and then the movie was over.
Yeah, I did feel like it should have taken a little more risks within it itself, because like
Hmm.
those last 20 minutes were like, whoa, bonkers. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell? We needed more of that, honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can see what you mean, even though I don't think it's one of the worst films of the year, but I can see
Yeah.
what you mean by this though. Is it my turn for number three, or is it?
It's back to you, my man.
Oh boy, okay. Oh shit, number three. Okay, my number three. Oh, God. You want to talk about some shit superhero films, man? Oh, we're gonna talk
Mhm.
some shit superhero films now. My number three is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh, I knew this was gonna be on there somewhere.
Ah, I fucking hate this film, man. Like, I really do not like this film at all. Like, this is the first time I genuinely hated an MCU project, honestly.
Mm.
Other than maybe Thor Love and Thunder last year. But, oh my god, this movie is just fucking boring, dude. Like, oh my god. Like, to start, like, they used, do you remember that green screen thing, the volume that they used for The Mandalorian and the Batman and, like, all those other films, like Thor Love and Thunder too?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so
I don't know the name of it, but I
it's
know what
called
you're
the
talking about.
volume.
Oh.
So it's used really well when it is used really well. Like, for instance, the Batman and the Mandalorian season 1, I thought looked fantastic with that green screen, honestly. But holy shit, does it look so ugly with this Quantum Mania world, dude?
Mm.
Like, oh my god, like it's so obvious that these actors are acting within a screen. Like, it's so obvious that there's nothing there behind them, and that they're
Mm-hmm.
not acting at all with anything. Legit, like Bill Murray appears for maybe like 1 minute, and that's it. They hyped
Mm-hmm.
him up in the marketing to be this big person, and he was in it for like maybe 2 minutes, dude. That was it. He was just like some
That's
sort of ex to Michelle Pfeiffer's character. That was it. Like,
See, that's another part of the thing about the Marvel formula is that we're all getting kind of sick of it when it's starting to get predictable. And now it's getting to the point where I can even predict the marketing ploys. Because I saw him in that trailer and I was like, I'll bet you he has 4 lines in that movie, and
and
that's
he
it.
does. He only has 4 lines in the movie. Ugh.
And that's why I never bought the hype, because that's kind of like, don't lie to me. You've done this trick before. You've done this multiple times, where you tout an actor that is recognizable purely for who they are, where like their name is basically their portfolio, their resume, and then you quote unquote like, oh, I can't believe they did that, and then like I've seen this dance before, and I can't fall for it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna fall for it anymore either at this point too, because it's like, it's just baffling, like with how many decisions they made for this movie. Like, Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas honestly look bored out of their minds throughout this movie. Like, they look like they don't want to be there. I remember the first movie, like them being so excited to like market it and shit like that. But I'm pretty sure that was because the first movie was actually still written by Edgar Wright. Like, it still had a pulse to
Yeah.
that film. I actually genuinely liked that first Ant-Man film a lot, actually, because it still had a style and a story to care about.
Hmm.
This feels like AI. Like, it feels like an AI generated content, honestly. Like, everything just looks so fake to me in this film. Like, all the creatures, all the weapons, all the costumes. Like, even the Ant-Man costume doesn't look as good as it did back then. It doesn't look as practical anymore. And it's like,
That's weird.
what the hell happened, y'all?
By
The,
the way, I'm totally gonna use uh, having a pulse to describe a movie.
oh,
That's
it's
really
just,
good.
yeah.
I like that. That's good.
Because you need to have some sort of like energy to a film, right? To get you engaged.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, good metaphor.
it's like the only thing that does have energy in this film is Jonathan Majors, who unfortunately we can't really say much because he's I guess, a criminal now,
I
abuser.
think he said. I think he said.
You think he's what?
I don't think. I think he said plenty. There's nothing else we could add.
Yeah, that is true. That
Yeah.
is true. So I mean, yeah, but I actually thought he did pretty well as Kang for the most part. He's a good actor in this film. It's just the rest of the film around him though. It's just
Hmm.
so bland and so fake looking that it's not convincing, honestly. Like, every time he makes a bad guy speech, it's not convincing because who was he talking to?
There's no one there. I
There's
can
no
tell
one
there's no one there.
there. Yeah, I did not like this movie at all. Like, in terms of the MCU, it's actually, I think, in my bottom of the MCU now. It beat it beat Dark World, the Thor: The Dark World, because as boring as the Dark
Or
World,
what?
Thor: The Dark World, the second one. Do you remember
What?
that one? It was
What?
it was the second Thor movie.
The one with Jeff Goldblum?
No, that was the third one. Oh wow, you don't even remember Thor: The Dark World because that's how unmemorable it was. But Thor: The Dark World, it had a.
It's yeah, it's the thing with the thing.
But
Yeah,
Malekith, or whatever the fuck his name
yeah, I
is.
remember. Yeah, yeah, I don't remember this fucking. I don't remember this fucking movie at
He's
all.
looking it up right now. Yeah, as unmemorable as that film is, at least it had like sets. Like it had real looking sets. It had actors acting within a production value. It had things going for it.
They were sharing the same scene with each
Yeah,
other.
they were sharing the same scene. This had nothing going for it, honestly.
Uh,
Quantumania. It was just so bland and boring.
oh yeah, yeah. This is the one. Okay, I have it muted, but this has the scene I actually really enjoy where Thor and Loki are going off to
Yeah,
go do
yeah.
whatever,
We're to
and
the
Loki's turning into like Captain America. All these people to like just kind of mess with Thor and
yeah.
just
That
kind
was
of
a
give him
funny
shit.
scene.
It was a funny scene. That was
See,
cool.
at least it had a positive thing in there. This has
Yeah.
nothing in it, honestly. Ant-Man 3 has nothing in it. I can't say really that's positive, honestly.
I guess I just when I thought back, I always attributed that scene to like Guardians of the Galaxy because nowadays I associate Thor
Oh,
with the Guardians.
yeah, but because he's kind of like that silly Thor now, you know.
That silly illustrious fifth member.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm good on talking about Ant-Man because it's just no more.
Okay. Hey, you don't have to, man. You're safe here.
Just kidding. All right. So is it number two now? Oh shit, we're at the
Yeah,
bottom two. Oh no, we're at the
bottom
stinkers
two.
now.
Yeah, real. Yeah, these two, like the other three, I could argue were just kind of like just didn't meet the expectation that I had for them in some way, shape, or form. Transformers was definitely like the least offensive of them. These two coming up will probably still stay on my top 10 worst of the year list.
Oh, I think so for sure too with my last two as well. So what's your number
Uh,
two?
my number two is Cocaine Bear.
Oh shit, son. Oh shit. Okay, because I saw this film as well. I I thought it was okay. You know, I did, but I was a
I
little disappointed with it though, considering the premise they could have went with it.
The premise is the title. There is no premise to the movie. You hear the title, you go, okay, yep, that's the whole movie. I don't need to hear anything else. There's nothing else to know. But you know what? With movies like that, you go in for the spectacle, right? The over the top nature. This the bit in the trailer where the bear is is like Fortnite jumping
Oh
at the
yeah, the
band.
tree.
I'm like, yeah. See, this is what
This is
I'm
some
sold
peak
on. This is what I
cinema
wanted.
here.
Even though I know the true story, I'm like, that's not at all what happened.
This is some peak
I
cinema right here, y'all.
I am a human being adult over the age of 12 who has access to the internet, and I know that that's not what really happened. I can let that go. I'm here to invest again in the spectacle of something called Cocaine Bear. And I think I said this on Letterboxd. I think it's time to admit that Elizabeth Banks is not a good filmmaker.
Oh no.
Between this and Charlie's Angels, I think we can safely say that she is more suited for in front of the camera than behind because every single shot in the movie looks like the inside of my asshole. It looks so fucking ugly. Everything looks so like everything is framed. They're just they honestly probably just plopped the camera down and said, "Go stand over there." They gave no thought as to how anything was gonna connect or communicate anything. And on top of that, like if you want to shoot it like shit, okay, I guess there's nothing gonna do. Can you at least light the movie so I can see what the fuck is happening half the time? Why is it so dark like a episode of Riverdale? It's Cocaine Bear. Also, the bear goes back and forth between like, okay, clearly he's on something, but then he'll be like, is he high on pot? Like when he's rolling around and being weird, I'm like, see, this is not what Hollywood has told me happens when you're on cocaine. Hollywood has told me that this is what you do when you want snacks and you're high on the marijuana. Why is it what? And when they say, I'm starting to get a headache. My headache's coming back.
Oh, no.
I was just so bummed. I was like, why is this movie so A, ugly to look at, B, not funny? Like, oh, haha, he said vagina. So, is it just funny that they said vagina? What's the fucking joke?
It's just vagina. It's a part of the human body, you know.
I felt like Peter Griffin. I was like, what the hell is this? Somebody throw a pie. Like, for fuck's sake, it's Cocaine Bear. How is it failing to engage me on even the asylum levels of entertainment? It's just so and then it has the balls to sit there and try and get in my face and give me a lesson about life and parenting and all this other shit. I'm like, this is not the place for this.
This is a movie called Cocaine Bear. It's not parenting 101.
And like, there are movies that are stupid like that and still have some kind of meaning to it. Dread still has some kind of like character arc, some kind of learning to it, but it's fucking earned because it has a consistent tone, everything lines up and makes sense, and you never question what's happening with the movie. It's very clear because it's not working with a whole lot. It's about a cop shooting people. It's not very complicated. Likewise, Cocaine Bear pretty much hands you the mission statement and says, okay, go print your money because people will go see this. How? Elizabeth Banks, how did you fuck this up so fucking badly?
Oh man.
This is why we don't. This is why we don't talk. This is why I don't fuck with blondes. We don't talk
Oh
anymore.
my god.
It's a shit like this.
Talented actress. First off, I do think she is very talented. But,
Oh yeah, she's great. She's made me cry before.
But yeah, clearly not the best director, though. No.
So that's your number 2.
Before we go to number 2, I just need to use the restroom just for a quick second. Just a quick pee break, real quick, for 1 minute. I'll be right back, y'all. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Definitely wasn't talking about recipes for homemade condoms. What's your number 2?
Well, the podcast didn't hear that because I muted everything, but it's okay.
Damn it! I mean,
number 2 for me, right? Okay. Oh, number 2. Okay. You want to speak about uneventful movies and shit like that? Like, essentially where nothing happens throughout that film and stuff like that. Like, this is how I felt about the next 2 films coming up, honestly. Like, just nothing happens in them. Like, that just feels like they just wasted their money just maybe for like a 1 paragraph story take, you know? My number two is We Have a Ghost on Netflix.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Talk about this movie.
Oh, you're excited, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, dude! I have so much to talk about with this film. Okay, where do I even start? David Harbour's ghost CGI is legit the worst CGI I've seen next to the CGI cameos with Batman with the Flash, dude. Like, oh my god. Like, I thought Casper the Friendly Ghost had convincing effects compared to this shit. Like, holy shit, the ghost effects are awful in this movie, dude. Like, I just don't know how you could fuck up a ghost story, honestly, and ghost effects. Like, how do you fuck that up? Like, it could have been such a simple premise. Like, it's just about kids that discover David Harbour's ghost in their house and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But all
Mm-hmm.
they had to, but they kept making it into a bunch of like social media shit. Like, oh, we gotta like promote the ghost and shit like that. Because Anthony Mackie's, who's the dad in the film, like he wants to like get clout essentially for all this, and the only time where I had some sort of chuckle in this film is when he calls the medium, played by Jennifer Coolidge. I did think,
That was a genuinely like good scene.
I will say, I did enjoy her scene in it. Like, she made me laugh, because it's just a treat to see Jennifer Coolidge in anything, so.
Yeah.
But oh my god, dude, this movie was just, so fucking boring.
I was gonna say that like yeah, it's boring and it doesn't know what it wants to be a lot of the time. It starts with the whole like social media angle, but then it kind of abandons that, and then it turns into like there's like a government side
Yeah, and then
plot,
there's
and
like,
there's like
it
a
turns into
road
Men in
trip.
Black all of a sudden. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
Like,
and
what is
there's
going
a road
on?
there's the road trip, and the character that they got like that was probably the biggest disconnect for me. It was the whole Men in Black government
Yeah, I
agency
was
thing
just
because
so uninterested in it.
it was well because it wasn't naturally ingrained with literally anything going on in the movie. The only character that brings that plot element to the main cast is the author of the ghosts or the author of the ghost book whatever thing. But she is so loosely tied to everything that like you could have very easily it honestly it felt like something to just kind of artificially like boost the movie to give it a longer runtime and to give it more stakes than just personal stakes. But it's like, if you just develop the personal stakes a little bit more, it would probably be a more focused movie. I don't know if it would be better, but it would at least be
It would
focused.
definitely have been more focused, and I would have at
Hmm.
least a little bit appreciated that more. But here, like, they just go all over the place, and it just doesn't make sense. And it's like, what is going on?
And especially by the end, you can clearly tell that they want you to have some kind of a strong emotional reaction to the events that they leave off with. But when the movie has been flip flopping between so many things, when a movie is unfocused, it becomes hard for a human being to get invested
There's no
in what's
connection.
happening.
There's no
Yeah, it's
connection.
it's why, and this is always my classic example, is the original Star Wars movies are, as they keep making more of them, they are technically getting more and more complicated, and I tend to notice that most people like the first two better and not so much the third one. And I can't help but feel like there's probably a lot of elements, a lot of factors to that, but the Return of the Jedi has the most going on by the end of the movie, and it flips between those three things: the moon, the outer space battle, and the stuff with Luke. It flips flops between those three, even though it's built up to them. Uh, and meanwhile, the first two movies really only have like one or maybe two things going on by the end of the movie. But We Have a Ghost has a real identity crisis, not just at the end, but for the whole movie.
I agree, and it's kind of disappointing to hear, considering the director did Happy Death Day, which I actually really liked
Oh
from
shit, I
him.
like that movie.
Yeah, and he's doing Scream 7 next year, which I'm very
Yeah.
curious about.
All
So,
right.
yeah. I know. I know how you feel about Scream, but I love Scream, so.
I'm actually gonna watch the Scream 6 later tonight.
Oh, sick. Sick. Um, yeah, we. Yeah. Sorry. We Have a Ghost. So disappointing though, and just never watch again on Netflix. Is it time for your number one?
Oh boy. Oh
Oh
Nelly.
shit.
Oh Nelly. My number one so far out of our 2/3 of the year check-in. So far, the worst thing I have seen so far this year, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh shit, son. Okay. Okay.
At
Okay.
at least Cocaine Bear was a movie. It was a bad movie, but at least it was a movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is honestly harkens back to the days of VHS when you could just like film whatever you want, get someone to make a half decent VHS cover, slap like 5,000 copies made to your local Fred Meyer, and you'd probably make a profit. Just regardless of whether or not you actually know anything about how to make a movie, whether or not you know how to light scenes at night so people can tell what is happening, whether or not you have good or bad actors, mostly bad. But I think what really stings the most is just how I don't want to say fake. The movie is about Winnie the Pooh, and it's a horror movie, and it's trying to use that as its pitch, its angle. Like, oh, it's something cute and fuzzy, and you associate it with happy things, and they're doing bad things. And that's supposed to be the, like, what gets you into it. And then you watch the movie, and it's just a couple of assholes in a Winnie the Pooh mask and a piglet mask going around killing people. And killing them in such a way that it don't matter. Like, they may as well have just been... This may as well have been... remember The Strangers with...
Oh yeah, The Strangers and Strangers
yeah,
Pray at Night. Yeah.
yeah, this may have well been The Strangers, the furry edition. Because
Or
it had...
yeah, it could have been that, or like or what's that movie that has those killers that are like kind of like cannibals in a way almost? What the fuck is that name? It's like a big Wrong Turn. You know Wrong Turn?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was in... Oh, me and Eliza Dushku, man. Those are the days. I remember being that
That's
young.
what this film reminds me of, like those bad Wrong Turn movies, you know?
Yes, but again, yeah, I definitely see what you mean. But this, I think, is even. It's like they took that and said, we could make this worse. We could make something worse because again, like you hear the audio quality, and even for someone that doesn't know anything about filmmaking or that process or what you need to do for proper Foley or whatever, you listen to the characters talk in this piece of shit movie, and you're like, why does it sound? It just hits your ear wrong, and you go, wow, it sounds bad. Now maybe you don't wonder why, or maybe you just kind of leave it at face value, but something about it just doesn't sound the same as like a movie. You know what I mean? And it's not. It has nothing to do with budget. It's. I've seen movies with no budget be incredibly well done. The indie movies are successful for a reason because they know what the fuck they're doing. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was waiting like like a marathon swimmer waiting on the diving board, waiting for the copyright to go up, and then dove right in there and sold their script as soon as possible because they were banking on cute fuzzy characters doing bad things as like, yeah, we'll make tons. And they didn't even care. They didn't care about having creative kills with the character. Winnie Pooh never takes a pot of honey and with the open bit puts it over someone's head and lets them drown in honey. How hard would that have been? And that's actually something the character would do. No, he just stabs somebody. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I could do that.
Anybody can do that for a film.
Anybody can do that. Give me a camera, coach. I'm ready.
Fucking what's that horror film that came out this year? Skinamarink had no budget, and that was legitimately one of my favorite films this year because it was so scary. Like I could not sleep at all.
Yeah, because people knew what they were doing and they cared. That's the other thing is that they cared. Nothing about Winnie the Pooh makes me feel like they gave
It's all for the
any kind
money.
of a shit. It's yeah, exactly. It's greedy.
And like I saw clips of this movie too, and honestly, it looked hella cheap. Like it did not look good at all. Like it doesn't even look like the so bad it's good fun in a way either.
No, it has the same kind of energy as the Mean One. Do you remember that shit?
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Yes, honestly, like it has a lot of the same, like a lot of the same energy. It looks like a, it looks like the team. It looks like the same team that would make like your church's, like your Sunday school church's like little like lesson video for the week at church. Looks like they fucking made a horror movie.
Those training videos are better than this shit. You know those entertaining training videos on YouTube?
Oh hell, I've actually legitimately seen the look up after this. Look up soft drinks or cold. Is it ice drink? There's
Ice
a Wendy's
drink.
training video about oh hot drinks. That's what it
Oh,
is.
hot
It's
drinks.
hot drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, Wendy's has a 90s training video. It's a music video, but it's training you, and it's honest to God. I'm like, this is fucking put effort into this. Why is this so
More than
good?
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah, yeah. And guess what? Hot drinks is 4 minutes long. It's 3.5 minutes long. So
And you're not wasting nearly 2 hours unlike Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I don't know. I don't know who had to fuck who to get Winnie the Pooh into theaters because it was in theaters for a bit, but like it wasn't worth it. I hope you wore a condom because it was. This was not worth it.
Oh man. Speaking
Or
of
spit.
speaking of theater movies, so now I'm out of focus.
That was fun to say though.
It
Come
was so
on.
no, that was great. That was great.
That was fun to say. All right.
Speaking of theater
I'm
movies,
I'm forever done with this movie. Sorry, you. I want to hear
my
yours.
number one is another theater film as well. Holy shit! Can I just say this?
Mm.
Okay, I've sat through movies, all kinds of bad movies and stuff like that. Like I've sat through all of them, like in the theaters, in my
Mhm.
home, in a friend's house, whatever.
You finish what you start.
I finished what I started. I got up and left maybe before 10 minutes, 15 minutes after this film finished.
Whoa.
It was that bad.
Whoa.
I was
Okay.
so bored, out of my mind, and it was the. You know how you said before with Renfield, the editing was like god awful with that film. That's how I felt with this film, honestly.
Mm.
And that film is 65 with Adam Driver.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you saw 65, huh?
Dude,
Ugh.
oh my god, this film was
Yeah.
so boring. Like, nothing happens in this film. Considering they marketed it as Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs, like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit. Nothing.
Which I'm on board for. I would watch that.
Yeah, exactly. I was on board for that. When I saw the marketing for it, I was so in. Like, written by the people that did A Quiet Place, and it has
Mm-hmm.
Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs. Oh hell yeah, I'm in. I'm so
That's not,
in.
that's not what you got, is
Oh
it?
my god, dude. The whole movie is just Adam Driver arguing with a kid in prehistoric Earth. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's. I haven't seen the whole movie like from start to finish, but every time I did a theater check for that movie, I'm not kidding you. I didn't see a single dinosaur. It was always him and that little kid.
Dude, and the thing is that he's unlikable as hell in this film. Like, he
Hmm.
treats the kid like dirt. Like,
Hmm.
okay, so to take for example, like, her family is also in the ship that he's transferring to on Earth, but
Mhm.
the ship crash lands, and them two are the only survivors. Her family is actually dead, and he
Hmm.
knows this through a tablet that he sees like their life signs on. He
Hmm.
doesn't tell the kid. He keeps it a secret until the last third of the film.
Ha!
It's like,
Nice.
what the hell are you thinking? Why didn't you tell her? Like, are you that psychopathic? And oh my god, you want to talk about editing? You know how you talked about with Renfield how it cut like early into a conversation? Okay,
Hmm.
so there's a scene in the film where Adam Driver like gets injured by a raptor, and because the kid goes off wandering to her own, and so he was like he grabs her and it sits her down by a tree. And it says to her saying, "Listen, you need to listen to me because you're gonna get hurt out there." And then it cuts. It cuts to a different scene. Like, what?
You had my attention, and
Yeah,
then
wait. What was the end
where
to
did
that
you go?
conversation? Like, it cuts to them walking all of a sudden. Like nothing happened. Like, what was the conversation? Like, I thought you were leading up to something big with that. Like, what was that? Like, the editing is so god awful in this movie. Like, oh my god. Like, I don't understand who. I don't even know who edited this film, honestly. But whoever did, sure as hell didn't do a good enough job, like to get this job. Honestly, like, oh, like I think this film is on Netflix recently too. At
Yeah, it
65,
is.
but even
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's worth watching on Netflix. It's that boring. Like. The dinosaurs don't even appear until the last 20, 30 minutes of the film, dude.
Ooh, that's disingenuous.
Yeah, seriously, and the T-Rex doesn't even appear until the last act. It's like,
Oh,
what?
that's a
What?
that's a that's lying to your face.
It's like, ugh. I wanted Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs. That's not what I got. Yeah, I'm sorry, Adam Driver fans. I have some friends that are Adam Driver fans out there, but
I'm
this
an
was
I'm an
I'm
I'm
a,
an
I-
Adam Driver fan, but
I love
like
Adam Driver too, but Jesus, man, this movie's
between you and two other people, like it doesn't sound like Adam Driver is the issue with the movie.
no, it's definitely everything else surrounding him. It's the
It's
writing, the directing, the editing.
mm,
Yeah, it was not good. You know what it reminded me of? Like a
mm.
really bad Roland Emmerich film. That's how bad it was.
So Roland Emmerich
Oh
film.
yes, I remember. Oh. I
Oh,
mean, I like Independence
ooh.
Day, so that's just me
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Then like in 1999, what the fuck have you done for
Yeah,
me
exactly,
lately?
exactly. I get you. I get you.
Jesus Christ.
But
I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt by Moonfall. I'm sorry.
it's all. um, but yeah. Oh God, don't watch 65 at all. It's not worth your time in the
I'm gonna
slightest.
go watch it right now.
If you really want to waste your time, go right ahead.
Put it on the background while we talk.
Okay, so that was our worst of the five worst stuff we got out of now. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming we'll have to go to our best of now.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
let me
Let's
get
move to
rid
something
of
more
let me
positive.
get rid of these shitty movies, man. So much shit, man. So much.
You gotta flush them out of
Yeah,
here
I gotta flush them all out. Okay, so let's see
like
here.
poop.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so uh.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm assuming, like, I'll go first this time with the best of this year, then?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so number five for me was, I think everybody is gonna have this in their top five this year, honestly, considering, like, how many letterbox reviews and scores I've seen on this thing. Like,
Mm.
it's one of the highest rated films on there, so, and it is genuinely deserving of that score. And that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not my number one. You're probably thinking why it's not my number one. I loved it. Still, don't get me wrong. I genuinely loved everything about this film. The visuals, the editing, the soundtrack, the character writing, the voice acting. Everything was amazing about this film. However, I do feel like it's not nearly as strong as the first one, in my opinion. The first
Yeah,
one's
I'd agree with
the
that.
first one to me was just so surprising to me. Like I don't know if anybody expected it to be that good, considering like Sony released the Emoji Movie before that. So, like, um,
Bridges
yeah,
were being burned.
bridges were being burned, and I don't know if anybody expected it to be that good. But holy
Mhm.
shit, was it so good though? Like that first film, and this one is too. Like I'm not saying to detract this one either, but I do think another issue I do have with this one. I mean, it may seem like I'm ripping on it. No, I do love this movie, guys. I'm genuinely being serious. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Um, I think the cliffhanger doesn't do it any favors either. Like it kind of
Yeah.
does ruin it, considering like the new one apparently is going to be delayed indefinitely. So
Yeah.
the cliffhanger does kind of hurt it a bit, especially since I saw another film like Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning that had a better cliffhanger to me, at least.
Mhm.
So to me, like, yeah, I do think that cliffhanger does detract it a bit from being as good as the first. But all in all, like, I still love this movie. Like, holy shit, this film is a blast to watch. Like, I will never get tired of watching it, honestly. And I rewatched it again because my sister got it for me for my birthday for digitally, and yeah, I still love it still. Um, I'm gonna say, so is it your number five now, or did you want to talk a little
Hmm.
bit about, or
My number five, I also suspect is going to be on. If everybody was doing a top five, I suspect this would be on most people's list in some, place or another. I have John Wick Chapter 4.
oh hell yeah, let's go baby boy.
It is a little lower on the end just because the other things that I saw this year so far, if I'm picking five, the others I just feel are stronger in a lot of points. And when I ask myself which of these am I more or less likely to rewatch really quickly, it probably would be John Wick 4 just because I'm like, dude, it's fucking 2 hours and 50 minutes. Like, come
It's a
on.
3 hour action epic. Yeah.
Yes, and like I mean, I'm doing kind of a similar thing as with you with Spider-Man, where it's like I'm going to talk about the things that stood out to me as bad. Just that means that everything else by omission is good. Is what I interpret this as.
Okay.
It is too long. It doesn't need to be that long. It's a little pretentious. It's about a guy shooting people. It doesn't have to be about the meaning of life. Now, there are scenes where that's illustrated very well, and it does add some gravitas to the scene, partially because, um, what's his fucking name?
Bill
Um,
Skarsgård?
no,
No, not him. Which?
Winston.
Ian McShane.
Thank you. Partially because Ian McShane, is a carry. He's good to bounce off of with a lot of scenes, whether he's with Skarsgård or he's with Keanu Reeves. I noticed that each scene he's in the movie tends to work well, and I think it's the common denominator is him.
Well, just
Um,
'cause, yeah, Ian McShane's just a damn good actor. So
yes, he is very good. He's very, very, very good. Um, but also like the dog bounty hunter, I'm like, you could cut him out of the movie. It doesn't matter. You don't. He's cool. Don't get me wrong, and you need cool characters, but you could cut him out of the movie. It don't matter. It overall, I think it's one of the better executed movies of the series. It's not my personal favorite, but like some of the set pieces, honestly, like my favorite. I think my favorite one is probably still. Oh shoot, I don't know. It's tough to pick. It's between the stair ascending the staircase, the stairs at the end of the movie, or the opening bit, the opening scene. Those two both are really, 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 really strong. And I don't know why we didn't have Donnie Yen in this series before. He is absolutely killer in that movie. No pun intended.
yeah. Speaking of John Wick, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. It is my number four as well.
Cool. Yeah.
Uh,
Jump in. Yeah. Let's just jump into it.
I fucking love this movie, dude. Like, I could not believe what I saw in the theater. This is
Mm.
my favorite action movie this year thus far. Like, This, like, I do agree. It is a little long. Like, I do
Hmm.
think some things could have been a little bit cut. But all in all, though, if your action movie is this good, I don't care, honestly, because it's
Hmm.
so good. Like, oh my god, there's so much to talk about. The Paris chase, the Killer's Club, the Dragon's Breath top down scene. Like, there's so much memorable action sequences in this movie. Like, that I was just like, I was in disbelief because, like, I don't know how they did it in the fourth film like this, considering, like, the rest of the films have also been really strong in terms of the action department too. But this film, oh my god, they dialed honestly a lot of the scenes to 11 for a lot of for a lot of these scenes. And like you
Hmm.
said, Donnie Yen is fucking awesome in this film. Like, he
Yeah.
needed to be in this franchise sooner or later, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
he is now. Because holy shit, his Kane is so good in this film.
Hmm.
He's probably
Yeah.
my favorite side character of this whole series now. Um, and actually, I actually did like Shamir Anderson's Dog Hunter. I liked him a lot actually. He is
I didn't know.
Mr.
I just didn't
Nobody.
think. Yeah, I just didn't think that he had a big impact on the story, big picture wise. But no, I enjoyed him. So
I
he like
I definitely
I can
think
I can excuse that kind of thing if they're entertaining.
I definitely think he's gonna have a bigger career after this too, because I don't know if he's done anything before this actually, but
Mm.
he's and also holy shit, Scott Adkins as Killa, the German gangster,
Yeah.
holy shit, he was so good too. That whole sequence was beautiful too to look at. The cinematography of this film is gorgeous for an action film too. I
Hmm.
rewatched it on 4K in my OLED, so gorgeous still. Yeah. John Wick 4. It's what if you had to put a rankings. I do think this is my favorite one actually now in the franchise. The first
Mm.
one's very close though. Like, I still personally love the first one a lot in terms of
Yeah.
like the story and the character writing.
Hmm.
But this in terms of the action and set pieces, holy moly, dude! This blew me away, honestly.
I want to say there's a problem. Each of the John Wick movies have one thing that is wrong with them that really gets to me. This one is just that it's too long. The first one is like the third act of the first one really kind of goes downhill for me. So it's a toss up for me. I'm like, which do I not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which one's a bigger deal breaker for me? It's a tough call. I honestly, I'm like, I'll work on an order. I'll figure out an order. We're not going to talk about that. This is not the John
Y'all
Wick
good.
podcast.
Y'all good. So what's your number four then?
Oh shit, that's right. I have Evil Dead Rise as my number 4.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I actually
Yeah,
had this, and I think I still have this in my top 10 of the year. But oh yeah, this film.
this movie is gnarly. This
Gnarly is one way of saying it, dude.
yeah, like it's the kind of thing where like there are just some franchises where like you have to just decide when to throw in the towel and when to call it good. And you would think at some point the Evil Dead franchise would have hit that at some point. But each time, especially with the lag between the last one and this one, not that they're necessarily directly connected, they are kind of, but on paper, out the gate, they're not connected to each other. The elevator pitch would not link these movies together. And it's been a long time. You would think that with this, again, with the way films themselves have changed overall, the whole media has gone through a lot of evolution, whether by necessity or not. You would think that bringing Evil Dead back into the fray would cause, some hiccups, some issues, some being a little homesick for the good old days. But like, nah, this thing not only stands on its own two legs, but like I feel like it's hit the ground running for a whole new like era of Evil Dead.
Dude,
It
this.
still is very goofy in some ways, but it is also a lot darker and a lot and kind of fucked up in a lot of ways. Um,
I love this thing, man. Like
mhm.
so if you don't count Ash vs. Evil Dead show, it's actually been 10 years since we got the last theatrical Evil Dead film with that reboot,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
which I did like as well. But, um,
Yeah.
but geez, man, this film was fucking gruesome. Like, oh my god, like, I actually genuinely felt bad for the characters that were getting through it. Like, I
That's
genuinely.
yes. Yeah, that's the big one for me is that a lot of the only character I really cared about at all in that the one from 10 years ago
Was
was
Mia.
was Mia, the main character. Everyone else was especially the Chad Kroger looking
Oh my god,
motherfucker.
he's so dumb.
I love that you knew exactly who I was talking about when I said
One that
Chad
made the
Kroger.
book arise,
That
yeah.
that makes me happy. But yeah, we're like the his name in the his character name in the end credits may as well have been, dude, what were you thinking?
Exactly.
Like, at least when Evie reads the Book of the Dead and the Mummy, it's because she's been set up to be a very curious, non-God fearing, very factual person. So of course she's gonna read the book because it's just a book. Like, why would she think anything's gonna happen? This guy, like, I don't know shit about this guy. As far as I'm concerned, he's John Q. Public, and John Q. Public would never read from the goddamn book that's wrapped in plastic, barbed wire, and skin. But the character, especially the main girl who ends up being kind of the lead Deadite, whatever, for Evil Dead Rise, um, there is a genuine kind of like old school horror element in the sense that, like, dang, she didn't deserve any of this. Like, she didn't do nothing wrong. She's trying to raise her kids up in a high rise. Like, that's not easy. And like the odds stacked against all of them, and like with such a small cast, you're kind of like, well, this movie won't have the big of a body count, maybe one or two, but like, nope, nope, people are gonna get it in this movie. We don't care who or how many. Like,
It's really fucked up too, because there's genuine kids too that are getting fucked up and like stuff like that, and like there's
yeah,
like some really fucked up shit happening in this film, man. I would warn
mhm,
people who are a bit on not on on the stomach side of things. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not into gore, because it is pretty
yeah,
gory.
yeah.
But if you can, and if you do like the Evil Dead franchise or just horror in general, oh, you're in for a
Or
ride.
I also don't recommend it if you don't like elevators.
Oh, oh god, yeah, there was a crazy elevator scene in this film, man. Holy
I
shit. I
as
felt I
some
got winced a bit.
as someone who notoriously hates elevators, I like had to look away. I was like, I can't do this. I cannot have another I cannot have another theoretical nightmare running through my brain every time I'm forced to get into one of these inhuman, ungodly, against nature devices. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't wanna.
It's pretty fucked up. Like it
I'll
would.
take I'll take the stairs. I'll see you
Do
guys
you,
later.
by the way, fun fact, did you know this was originally gonna be a Max film, not a theater film?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did find out after the fact that it was originally going to be like strictly like a streaming thing, and then they were like, you know what, the test audiences really seem to like it. Fuck it, put it in theaters.
I swear, if this was only streaming like Prey did, I would have been so mad.
I'm so happy that they took a
I'm
chance and
so
set.
glad too, because it made a lot of money too. Like it's gonna get a sequel apparently. Like
Yeah,
they want to make more.
yeah, it paid off for them and like really for everybody. Um, there is improper use of a Caleb in this movie that I don't
Ah,
appreciate.
I know what you're talking
They
about.
they were clearly just wanting to have a Caleb to kill off in the movie. I am against Caleb exploitation, generally speaking, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But that my the personal prejudice against me aside, I really enjoyed the movie.
Alrighty, so it's number three for me now, or is it?
Yep.
Alrighty, number three. So number three, okay, oh yeah, yeah, number three. Probably the biggest movie this year thus far. The biggest movie this year thus far. It's Barbie. I
Yeah,
I I loved Barbie.
yeah.
I loved Barbie. It was so good. Uh, oh my god, it was so fun, so colorful, so unique. The whole cast was so fun. Like you could tell they were into this film. Like they had so much fun filming this, and they put all their effort into it.
Mm,
Like the production design is so gorgeous in this film. Like and the
yeah.
costuming and the like it has to get nominated, right? Like there's I feel like it will get nominated considering that the Academy loves Greta Gerwig and stuff like that. So like and I do hope Ryan Gosling is nominated because he gave my favorite comedic performance this year because oh my
Hmm.
god, that man is a national treasure. Ugh,
Yeah.
I love Ryan Gosling so much. He's so funny as Ken. Sublime.
I loved I loved his not Tommy Wiseau laugh.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The first time he did it, I was kind of like, that, but that also sounds familiar. And then like the third time he did, I was like, oh,
I know what you're
now I
doing.
know. Now I know where I've heard it. What a story, Mark.
Also, I have a poster here of Michael Cera's character as Alan, and he was so hilarious too. I was so happy
Yeah,
to see Michael Cera in a big budget film again.
busting out a little Scott Pilgrim moves in there
I
for him.
know, right? I was so happy he did this type of stuff again because I love Michael Cera. I don't know if you do, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barbie. I don't know what else is there to say. I mean, a lot of people have reviewed this thing and loved it. I mean, of course, there's the man haters that are like, it's against men and stuff like that. It's like, shut the fuck up. Did you actually watch the movie? Like,
Honestly, I haven't even heard that because the overwhelming positive reception to the movie has been so deafening that I honestly haven't even heard. I don't want to, but I honestly, usually when this kind of thing happens, by accident or by omission, I end up hearing at least one or two complaints that certain people will have against a movie. But like, because everyone has just been talking about all the good stuff and how much they enjoyed it, I'm like, well, sucks to suck, I guess.
fuck you, man, babies.
Fuck you.
Well, anyways, I think I've said enough about Barbie because I feel like this thing has been talked about a lot and by
Mm.
people, but all know a fantastic time, honestly.
Thanks.
What's your number three, man?
Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, and I didn't know if I was gonna
Oh,
be saying those words.
you know what?
Uh,
Okay. I do want to point out. I know we didn't. We said we weren't gonna do any honorable mentions and stuff like that, but I
mm,
did have this as my number six, because
mm.
I love this film, dude. I This was the biggest surprise to me this year, probably. Honestly.
I don't know how so much of it worked as well as it did because I think with literally anyone else directing it or editing it or anything like that behind the I think it probably could have very easily fallen apart. It's teetering on an edge of being really really shitty.
It could have been shitty. Like I thought the
Uh-huh.
marketing was not doing it any favors either. Like it kind of looked like it wasn't gonna be any good. Like it kind of looked generic from the marketing,
Uh-huh.
honestly. But then I got invited to an early screening, and I saw it with my dad, and then my dad whispered to me saying, "This movie's awesome. What the hell?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, this
Why is
movie's
it
so."
so fun?
I know it's so much fun. Like
Why
it
is it so fun though?
Chris Pine is so good as the bard, dude. Holy
Mhm.
shit! Like I loved him so much, and I
Oh, they're
have
all good.
no,
They're
they're
all
all good.
great.
I would have to say this is probably my favorite Michelle Rodriguez role in a long shot since maybe Lost. Even I don't even fucking know because Fast and Furious like she just does the same shtick, honestly. But
Yeah, she's kind of like in a coma standing up for a
but
lot of
she
it.
actually has some genuinely good emotion in this film,
Uh-huh.
and also
She did a movie called Girl Fight in her when she was first starting out. That one's actually really good too.
oh, and she also did another film recently called Widows, which I haven't seen yet, but I do want to see that. It's with
Mm,
Viola Davis, and I
mm,
do want to see that. But okay, speaking of that of Michelle Rodriguez though, That cameo.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
I could not stop laughing. Oh my god.
Yeah, the movie, like, it's kind of incredible how it manages to have a perfect balance of, like, even in the scene where she's with her ex and they're talking things out. I'm like, I feel for this character, but it's also very funny. Things are shot in a way that's creative, and we're still moving the plot along at the same time. Like, even though it's a silly subject matter, they're still they know what they're doing and they're treating it seriously. Like they actually give a shit about doing the movie right. And I will say the third act, not the third act, but really just kind of the final action scene kind of falters a little bit for me, but by that point, like the movie's almost done. You barely even notice that, like, it's a kind of an Indiana Jones thing where you're like, it's a whole other movie about to start because I really don't have the energy for this.
No, it's
But
just like
like,
a little fight scene at the end,
it's
though.
just a
That's
little,
it.
it's yeah, it's just a little fight scene and then we're done. Everybody's character is very clearly different from the other in an emotional way. They're all conveyed pretty perfectly. The way they bounce off each other is always interesting. It's like a low grade Tarantino movie where everything everyone says has some kind of direct effect on everyone else, but they're all going to react to it differently, and it's always fun to watch.
So,
And then on top of that, the action was decent as well. Like I really enjoyed the hand to hand fight scenes with Jean-Marc Rodriguez. I was like, damn, this looks good.
yeah, and
Looks better than Mortal Kombat.
somebody said this was like a fantasy version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I actually kind of agree with that. Like it has genuinely good action, genuinely good humor, emotional beats and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And like all in all, it's just a really fun time. Like I had so much fun with this movie, more so than I thought I would, honestly. And I don't know much about D&D. I just started playing Baldur's Gate 3 recently, so
I don't know shit about D&D other than the gelatinous cube and like maybe one other reference. But other than, like I don't know anything. Um, if it wasn't mentioned in the cinematic masterpiece of the Jeremy Irons Dungeons and
oh goodness
Dragons,
gracious.
then I don't know anything about it. But like, it's funny that you could do a double feature of these movies, and you would be equally a fun time for very different reasons.
Oh,
And I
you
think
could
that,
you could watch the Jeremy Irons one in like that very so bad it's good way. Like it's
yeah,
so
absolutely.
bad, but you could
I,
laugh at it.
I think that's kind of what I mean when I say that the Honor Among Thieves one, if it had been one, if it had been the director had been different, if one writer had been different, if there had been one more producer to step in and nudge their nose in where it didn't belong, I think it could have very easily have turned into the Jeremy Irons one. You know what I mean? Because they have a very similar sensibility visually, but like obviously like technology is different now. But like when you're watching them, they're like cousins. They do have some common ground, but having different people behind working on it and creating it makes all the difference.
Exactly. And also one more thing to mention before we move on.
Mm.
I gave this my best visual effects award because the use of practical effects and CGI was so good. Like it was
Beautiful.
beautifully done. I
Beautiful.
was so happy they did a mix of both practical and CGI, honestly.
When
Cause
they
I
brought in Chris Pine for his hearing, and
oh
half
yeah,
the judges are like just some clearly just some asshole with an animatronic sitting on his shoulders. I'm like, this looks cool.
I was so happy because I thought practical effects was almost a dying art, but thankfully, films like Dungeons and Dragons are still keeping it alive. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was so happy to see that. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves has to be my biggest surprise of the year, and I urge
yeah,
people to see it because unfortunately, it's not doing that well in terms of the money and profit, and it's
yeah,
unknown if it is going to get a sequel. I really hope it does, honestly, because I would love to see another one from these guys.
yeah. If it cuts close enough, and they see in other aspects where it was successful, a sequel could still happen. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was your number three?
That's my number three.
All right, so we're down to the final top two. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, okay, you thought Spider-Verse was going to be my favorite animated film this year. I thought so too. But actually, there was another animated film that beat it, and I was honestly genuinely surprised that it did. But everything about this film worked to every degree,
You saw
honestly.
Paw Patrol early.
Oh, thanks, man. I couldn't have resisted seeing the Paw Patrol movie early for the podcast, so I could put it on this list.
Well, I know you signed up in the fan club for
Oh
that
hell
advance
yeah, dude!
screening.
The Nickelodeon fan club for that.
Is it
Hell
even Nickelodeon? I
no,
don't
I
even
don't even
fucking
think it's
know.
Nickelodeon. Well, I don't even know if it is. I think it's Paramount Plus only now. But anyways,
Anyway.
um, my number two for this year is
Hmm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
What
I know,
craziness.
I know.
I can't believe it. Really? What is a Ninja Turtle?
Uh, dude, this film was a banger, man. A banger movie. Like, not just for TMNT, but for animation in general. Like, this is a home run, you could say. This was the grand slam. Like, I was in love with from the first frame of this film. Like, it was gorgeous. Like, it was just as gorgeous as a Spider-Verse film, honestly. You know, because it was worked on people by who did Spider-Verse,
Hmm.
and it was directed by the guy that also did Mitchell's versus Machines, which was one of my favorite animated films of 2021. So, like, I was already in. And speaking of which, shout out to Disney Video Game Chick, who was the editor, one of the editors of TMNT Mutant Mayhem, one of our turbos. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, they were an editor on TMNT Mutant Mayhem. So
Nice.
shout out to you, Disney. You did a fantastic job with editing this film as well. Um, and also, the score. Oh my god,
Hmm.
you won't believe who did the musical score to this film. The score was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who I
Hmm.
loved ever since The Social Network and their scores. So, you probably also know them from Nine Inch Nails fame, but like,
Yeah.
their score in this film is gorgeous. Is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's actually tied with another score of mine that I'm about to talk about with my number one. But I was surprised by how beautifully done this musical score was by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. But I shouldn't be surprised because it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So, man, this is gonna be a tough year for best musical scores, honestly, because there were so many good ones. But I really hope TMNT is at least on that list because it's so well done, honestly. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge TMNT fan,
Yeah.
and I've always loved this franchise. And even I could say, like, there have been some really shit films in this franchise. Like,
What?
but I know,
Really?
surprise,
I can't
right?
believe it. Get
Surprise,
out of here.
surprise. There have been some shit films in the TMNT franchise, and even some bad shows. Hooty hoo. But, um, like, this is truly the best one. Like, it's bar none. Like, there's no way this will be beat for a while, unless if they make like a really good sequel, then I could see it. But I don't know if any other TMNT film can beat this. And even though I know some people are putting on that nostalgic glasses for the '90s one, look, I like it too, but there are some things that really don't hold up in that film either. Like,
Mhm.
there are some really bad effects, and like there's some jokes that don't hold up as well, honestly. Like, they're just
Mhm.
so '90s, like you could just take it out. But this film, oh, near perfection in my opinion. I can't say enough of it, honestly. Like, it's just so good. You didn't see it yet, right?
Oh, I saw it.
Oh, you did see it.
I saw it.
Is it on here? Or
Is that the cue to pass back to me?
is that your cue? Are you saying we both have it on the same place?
I'm saying that I saw it.
Okay. You're saying that you saw it, but you don't have it on the list.
um, I'm choosing to not say anything while you talk about Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Okay, so I'm assuming you didn't like it as much compared to me?
um, we liked it differently. That's what we're gonna go with
That's
for
what we're
now.
gonna go with for now. But you still liked it, right? Oh
So my
boy.
number two.
It's okay, we're not gonna say this then. Okay.
My number two is Barbie. Barbie was really
Oh, wait.
fun.
Before we talk about Barbie, which do you want me to pull up like a certain poster of a character that you liked from the film? Because there's like multiple movie
Um,
posters like to go with here. Because I chose Alan because he was one of my favorites.
yeah, that's fair.
Anyone that
Um,
stood out to you?
I trust you. No, you know what? Give me Ken, but not Ryan Gosling Ken.
Which Ken do you want?
The only Ken that matters. No, I'm just kidding. Give me Simu Liu.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool. You want Simu Liu's Ken? Okay,
yeah.
okay, cool. I'm gonna pull it up
Um,
right now.
so about 10 minutes into this movie, it dawned on me that I have no fucking idea what this movie is about, and that I'm just gonna have to go along with whatever Greta Gerwig decides a Barbie movie should be about. And not even like a breath after that realization, when the next thing happened, I was like, "Yep, I'm in. Let's see it. Let's do it." I think it was right around the time when when Barbie like floated down from the house to her car, and they're like, "Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. But do you ever make Barbie just walk to her car, or do you just pick her up and put her in the car?" I was like, "Oh, I get it. This is gonna be fucking
And
great."
nobody walks her down the stairs.
No, like with any toy, like nobody makes them do the laborious, boring part that you have to do in real life. No, you just go straight to the thing that you want them to do. I want her to be in the car, so she's gonna be in the car now. Um, so I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to repeat a lot of what you said because I generally agree with everything that you said, especially Ryan Gosling. I think he actually stole some of the scenes away a couple of
Oh,
times.
absolutely, and I do think he deserves honestly a Best Supporting Actor nom this year.
Yeah. hmm
Fantastic.
and best musical performance.
Oh, he deserves the Best Original Song performance. Oh my God, please give it to him.
Um, the whole dance sequence with all of the Kens had such a singing in the rain vibe to it that I couldn't not love it. You know what I mean?
I get you.
when Whenever there'd be a dance sequence that doesn't take place in reality, like that, there's that one really weird song in Singing in the Rain that I never really liked it, but it always goes to this like all one color pastel background, the floor, the walls, it's all the same color,
I know what you're
and
talking about too.
it's just kind of an open staging, and they just kind of have this whole, yeah, it's very similar to
It's like a
that.
painting almost, you know, like in a way, right?
Yeah, almost. Yeah. I like the attention to detail of like, no, yeah, the water's plastic. They're not gonna go swimming. It's plastic because it's not real. I even kind of like that Will Ferrell's character didn't really hog a whole lot of the story. I was surprised how little involvement he had in it. It almost kind of felt like it was just. It almost felt like his involvement was just to bridge this and the Lego movie together as a like toys coming to like
He's still funny.
animating and becoming real. He is still funny, but I just mean like his total amount of screen time is probably the same as Alan's,
But
maybe a little more.
it's funny though, because Alan I feel like stood out a bit more than even Will Ferrell did though, because Alan had a funny ass scene with that freaking construction workers though.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I was impressed with how well paced the movie was, generally speaking. I also think this is probably one of the funnier movies I've seen this year, just
Oh, it's
overall. Like,
absolutely hilarious.
yeah. I do think it gets a little heavy-handed near the end. I think that the message was pretty clear early on, and then in the end, they stop and start, and they stop and start to repeat much of the same message multiple times, and it started to get a little like, shut the fuck up, just go, just do it. It reminded me of the ending of The Dark Knight, when it's like, we can have this conversation after the movie when we're done.
Let's just get it over
If
with, Let's just
if
get
you
it
have
over
the conversation, yeah, just get it over with. But if you have the conversation for us, that kind of, it's a little on the nose. It kind of takes away from the fun of the subtlety. And I know Greta Gerwig can be subtle if she wants to, but like, it didn't. It was at the tail end, and it wasn't enough to detract from all the other strengths of the movie, being like the performances, the chemistry. Chemistry with everybody's pretty on point. I would say like some of the strongest I've seen this year. Margot Robbie continues to knock it out of the fucking park.
She's gonna be nominated as well for Best Actress, I feel like, this year too.
I feel like that's probably accurate. Fun fact, did you know that Margot Robbie loves Slipknot?
I did know that. That was hilarious to know that, because I love Slipknot too.
Really? We haven't talked about that. We should.
You like Slipknot too?
Slipknot's fucking great.
It is great.
This is gonna turn into the Slipknot appreciation podcast.
One thing to point out with Barbie, I want to point out something. There was a scene that made me die of laughter, almost to the point where it was, like, to the point of tears. It was when, I guess spoilers, per se, but, to the Barbie movie, but, when John Cena appeared as the Mermaid Ken, I could not stop laughing. Holy
so
shit. His blonde hair.
Yeah. I mean, I laughed too, but that got a really big laugh out of my theater too.
Could not stop laughing, dude. Like, I'm so glad John Cena at least made an appearance in this film. He is so great. But yeah, Barbie was your number 2 then?
It is, man.
Number 2, number duty.
It's like poop.
Just kidding.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay. So, okay. We have finally gotten down to this, huh? We've finally gone down to the number one. Okay, so you're probably wondering what's my number 1. There's been a lot of great films this year,
Alright.
Do you know what it is or no?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and tell everybody.
Oh yeah, you do know already. I think I told you.
I could announce it.
No, you're fine. I could do it, but I could do it. This film though, like, was truly breathtaking to watch in the theater, like in IMAX cinemas. I honestly do. I hope to see it again very soon, because I want to see it with my dad as well, because he wants to see it eventually as well. He's just been busy with work, but yeah, and this film really was super impactful, and to that film this year for my number 1 is Oppenheimer.
Oppenheims.
I know, surprise, it's Oppenheimer. But listen, this fucking movie,
Linda, listen,
is okay. Let me just say this out of the way. I wasn't like over the moon hyped like everybody else was for this film. I was still excited, but I did have my worries too, because it was a 3-hour biopic. It's R-rated, and yeah, that doesn't really sound appealing for a theater film, right? Or especially for an IMAX film. Like, a 3-hour R-rated biopic that doesn't really have a lot of action scenes. That doesn't really sound all that appealing to me, to me or even some other people. But oh my god, like, from the moment this film starts, it just hits you with such a energy that is unlike any other film I've seen this year. Like, it honestly, that 3 hours flew by. Like, I did not feel it at all. Like, I kind of wanted more, to be honest, of this story, because it was just so intriguing, so interesting to know, like, what happened with this history behind the nukes and the Manhattan Project, and just to know J. Robert Oppenheimer's life during this time, like what he had to go through and like the troubles he dealt with the government afterwards. Like, Cillian Murphy is absolutely incredible in this film. Like, he is absolutely getting that Best Actor Oscar for this. Like, he needs to. Like, there's no other way I've seen an actor perform this good this year, honestly. Like, he is phenomenal in this film. Like, honestly, the whole cast itself is fucking enormous. Like, the amount of names they have on this thing, and everybody in this film puts in 110% performance, honestly. You know why? Because it's a fucking Nolan movie. Because
Hmm.
Nolan gets it with cinema, honestly. Like, he understands that his audience doesn't want to be bored. He understands that his dialogue has to be interesting. He understands that his music has to impact others. Let me just say the score by Ludwig Göransson in this was absolutely stunning. Like, I said, like before, like TMNT was tied with this one. Yeah, this score was gorgeous. Like, I know for a fact it's gonna be nominated this year for an Oscar because it deserves it for sure. This whole film, it deserves all the nominations for everything. Honestly, sound design, freaking cinematography, the acting from both Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt honestly deserves a Best Supporting Actress award too, in my opinion. Robert Downey Jr. was absolutely fantastic in this film too. Like, I felt like his emotions through the screen too. Like,
Mm.
I honestly, like, as much as I loved Iron Man, I miss Robert Downey Jr. doing these types of dramas, honestly. Like, I loved his acting in this so much in this. Like, and yeah, the supporting cast is humongous. Oh my god, like there's big names from veteran names to new names. Like, oh, I don't even know if I can name all of them, but yeah, speaking of which, Josh Hartnett was in this and he was really good in it too. Freaking Rami Malek was in it for a couple scenes, but his scenes were impactful too. Um, Jack Quaid from The Boys was in this too, and he was very good too. Josh Peck, who you probably know from Drake and Josh, was very good in this too. Actually, everybody in this film gave it all because it's a Nolan film, and they probably wanted to be in a Nolan film and stuff like that. Christopher Nolan just knows how to direct a film, and honestly, I can't wait to see what he does next. But this does feel like his magnum opus, though, because a lot of people are saying that about this film. Because
Mm.
I kind of agree too, because this is honestly how I felt when watching The Social Network. Because The Social Network is just like Social Network is one of my favorite films of the decade, by the way.
Mm.
It's just how I feel about this film. Like, the dialogue is just so good and so engaging that you just don't want it to end almost.
Mm.
And the directing is just so immaculate. Like, it's so beautiful to look at. Oppenheimer is the best film of this year, and I don't know if anything is going to beat it, honestly. If Dune Part 2 does come out this year, maybe it could beat it, but I don't know if it is going to come out this year considering the writing strikes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, all in all, though, Oppenheimer is my favorite this year.
All right. I'm
So, yeah.
trying to hold off to see because the I think it's the Hollywood Theater has it in 70 millimeter, and that's not too far off from where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at. Trying to hold off to see if I can.
So I didn't see it in 70 millimeter. I do want to see it in 70 millimeter eventually because they did extend the run. But
Mm.
I saw it in in actually my newest IMAX theater because they remodeled the IMAX theater near me like into a
Nice.
laser IMAX, and it's so much nicer, dude.
Mm.
The sound when you just hear the nukes and shit like that, it's like, oh, it's so impactful, honestly. Oh, I love this film. I can't wait to see it again, honestly. Alright, what's your number one, dude?
Oh, I didn't already say it. Oh, it's Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
Oh my god, you fucking tricked me this whole time thinking that you were gonna shit on this movie, but oh my god, you actually had
we
it as your number one this whole time.
we did like it differently because I think I liked it more than you.
Oh, okay, okay,
I
okay, okay.
have never been so happy to be wrong before because it's not that I didn't think it was going to be good. I thought that it looked interesting, mainly because of the art style that they were going with. But whenever their trailer would play and there would be a joke, I like rolled my eyes out of my skull. Like I was like, one of the key things you have to nail with the Ninja Turtles is they got to be fun. They got to be funny. And I'm not, and because they're so much younger than I'm used to seeing the Turtles, I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna click with me, man. This might be one of those franchises now where like it's just left me by and it's not gonna like click with me anymore. So I was a little apprehensive. I still wanted to see it because I was curious. And like we were talking about the Spider Verse films, and like that first one has now forever changed all of animation forever. Everyone's gonna try and do their own spin off of that. So I was like, well, I may as well see. I really liked Puss in Boots, and that movie was taking some liberties with those visual ideas, but it was generally taking, it was kind of doing it the same thing. But I may as well see what this one is up to. And like, it was so funny. It was so good. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
find a single thing about it that I did not like. Even the scene that I didn't like was funny. Even the scene that I was afraid was going to be in the movie and proved me right was one of the
It's still
funniest parts
funny, right?
of the sit where like this it's basically my fear of like, oh, this is that generation of humor that I just don't think is funny, and they dragged it out for like the longest 9 minutes that I think I've ever had to sit through, and they made it into a punchline. It was perfect. Like every little minute detail, I was looking for things to be wrong and I still couldn't find anything, and that's rare. If I'm actively, not that I try to hate on a movie, but if I'm looking and I'm trying to pinpoint things that are wrong, like things that I don't like Jackie Chan as Splinter, nailed it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I was just
nailed
about
it.
to say, like, I should,
His
Jackie
his fight
Chan.
scene is his fight scene's literally constructed the same as a Jackie Chan fight scene. The whole like lens that the movie takes completely changes because it's a different character.
Well, it's also funny because like they show clips from Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
because that's what his inspiration was. So you watch
Yep.
TV.
Yep. And there's
That's
been multiple interpretations of the Turtles where they get at least some of their training from watching TV.
or if it's through a book, like in the reboot series from Michael Bay. Unfortunately,
Or in a book.
that's the most boring
Uh,
way.
Come on, man. We were having a good time.
I'm
Why you
sorry,
gotta,
sorry.
why you gotta bring
Wait,
up Michael
let's go
Bay?
back to the real good one.
The Turtles design, each one of them is perfect. Um, of course, Donnie's an anime nerd. Why did I think of that?
Dude, I
Why
was
that is
thinking of
that is
you
such
the
a
whole
perfect.
time he made anime references because I was like, oh my god, I hope Caleb likes this because he's gonna like this so much.
Mm-hmm. Of
He has a
course, Attack on
JoJo
Titan.
fucking uh, jacket.
Yep, he sure does.
Attack on Titan,
Uh,
bruv.
they all have like it's kind of a similar thing as with Dungeons and Dragons, where like they have such distinct personalities. Each time something happens or they say something, you're looking forward to how they respond, how they look. But because they grew up together and they're brothers, they still have a common denominator. They still have a common line. I thought Ice Cube as Superfly was
Oh,
really fucking good.
so good. Honestly, probably my favorite Ice Cube performance in a while thus far.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even on screen, and you can feel his face changing when he's talking. I know when he's behind that mic that he looks different because he's acting. because he's actually like doing a character. It's not like, I mean, I like Paul Rudd, but like let's be
Oh my
honest,
god, Paul Rudd was
he's just,
hilarious too.
yeah, but it's because he has good lines. It's because he has good delivery. He's got a natural charisma to it, but there isn't much to that character, and that's
That is
fine.
true.
He doesn't
Yeah,
have
that's
to be.
fine. But
That's fine. Superfly, with what
yeah.
little he has, manages to be to have a lot of screen presence.
He also does have a really compelling arc, actually, when you think about it too. Like
He does.
in terms of villains.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Also, I just love the fact that the turtles are voiced by actual kids. You know, like actual
Yeah,
teens, instead of like
yeah.
adults that are trying to act like teens. You know, because it's so obvious in the
Like,
in the previous
like
films.
if they had got like Phil Lamar to be Raphael, like, oh, shut up.
Like, dude, you're not a teen if you're trying to be one. Like
You're
the
not
like
killing
like
anybody.
the Michael Bay ones, for example. They got like what Johnny Knoxville to be Leo, and it's like, dude,
Yeah.
you are not this age. You are not 18 or anything like that.
No.
Those turtles don't
But
even look like teens, but whatever. Fuck it. It's whatever.
this is like the third time you've brought up the Michael Bay Turtles. I'm starting to think that you secretly like those movies more than what you're willing to
No, I
admit.
don't. I mean, I do think there are some entertaining moments in them. Like, there are really good entertaining moments in them, but all in all, I think they're just after rewatching them
I
again.
think there's uh I also have to really, before I forget about it, um, since we know someone who is involved with the editing, I really honestly do really fucking appreciate the editing in this movie.
Oh, speaking of that, like, did you notice those references to like Old Boy and like all those other martial arts movies, like The Raid and
Yeah,
stuff like that? That was fucking
yeah,
sick.
yeah. There were definitely nice like visual callbacks that weren't that were overt but not like in your face. Like there wasn't a character watching the raid in the background
Yeah, yeah,
as the
yeah.
scene. It wasn't that in your face about it, but they were very obviously like inspired by it. But I'm not even just talking about that necessarily. I mean, yes, that is part of it, but I'm also talking about like cutting on beat to the song
Oh, yeah,
playing
yeah,
at
yeah,
the time,
yeah.
to not only illustrate like a passage of time, but to show that the turtles are starting to get in, like they're starting to enjoy this. They're going out and doing it multiple times, and they're starting to get comfortable with it. And what do you do when they get comfortable? You establish a rhythm, and cutting on beats to the specific songs. Even though some of the song choices not exactly appropriate, I like those songs, so I'm fine with it. But I would never think to put No Diggity into a fucking kids movie. A song where they blatantly just, I like the way you work it.
You know, there was actually
Sure.
a surprising amount of profanity in it too, in this
For a
one.
kids movie, yeah, there was. But like with as much visual noise as the movie has, because it has a very cool art style. But when things start moving quickly, and a lot of it takes place at night or underground, it would be very easy to lose track of what's happening. But like good use of connective tissue to bring the audience's eyes and to make them aware of what's going on, so that you never really feel overwhelmed by what's happening.
Oh man, Disney video game check. You did a great job editing this film. It was so good. Um,
Not just so good. There have been
I
some really
know.
good. Sorry, I was really impressed
Yeah, I know.
with
I know.
how easy it was to keep up with some of the more like not distracting, but the more like busy scenes that were happening. I was really surprised, which then also made Splinter's fight scene later stand out all the more because it was shot, in quotations. But it was set up to look like an old school Jackie Chan fight scene because he does a lot of his fights with wide open shots. He likes
And
to
uses objects and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. Nice wide angle so that the audience can see him do the flip or do whatever he's doing. And there were even some moments where Splinter would face and turn the camera so you could see his face, and it's like Jackie does that. Jackie does that all the time. Shut up. That's awesome. His face is like part of his trademark.
That's why I think I genuinely love Jackie Chan as Splinter too. It was just a perfect role for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey,
Um,
don't use that word. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That that joke real that got me.
um.
I think this was leaps and bounds better than Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, absolutely. In my honest opinion, like I said this to myself and some other friends too. Like, if you guys like Cross Fibers, give TMNT a shot because it
Yeah.
genuinely deserves it. And it's unfortunate
Hmm.
because it's not making that much money compared to Spider Verse and the other animated films this year. And it's like, god damn it, guys, you're missing out on some good cinema. Y'all, come on.
Peak cinema.
And oh yeah, did you love the score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross as well?
Oh my God, yes. Actually, like, no joke. I didn't know that Trent Reznor was anywhere near the fucking Ninja Turtles. Having known that now, like, I can kind of hear it in, especially in like Bebop and Rocksteady, like when they're first introduced with the rest of the gang.
I heard it
Um,
when Donnie was looking out in the New York landscape, like the very
mhm.
synthy beats.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. But I would love to rewatch it again and kind of keep a more open ear for some of his other like touches on things.
I can't wait to rewatch this. Honestly, it's
Yeah,
I'm definitely buying this when it comes out. It was such
like,
a such a good film, man.
yeah, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, I mean, yeah, it'll be available to stream, but I
No, I
want
want
to
to buy
have
it.
it.
I want to
I want
buy
to
it.
have it in my hands. I want to make out with it and
Yeah,
take it
dude.
take it
I
in the
think
back
this will
seat.
definitely stay in my top five for sure this year as well. TMNT.
Take the wrapping off and
I want a
bring it in the
steelbook.
back. Bring it in the back seat.
Oh my god. But I wow, yeah, TMNT, your number one film of the year so far. That's
Mm,
really cool, man.
and then text it awkwardly the next
Oh
day.
my
Saying
god.
how it feels.
All right, Caleb. We got to stop seducing it now.
What?
We got to stop seducing this film now.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh, I said that out loud.
You
Oh my
did see
god.
that. All right. But I think that's it pretty much for this podcast,
Yeah,
right? We've said all of our
yeah,
best and worst of the year so far. Um,
yeah.
so yes, I guess stay tuned for later on this year. We'll have a best of top 10 of all of the films we're gonna have for best and worst. There's definitely gonna
Yeah.
be a lot more to talk about. So
Yeah.
definitely stay tuned for that. Thank you again, Simone Guy Caleb, for coming down here to take your time and do the podcast. Um,
Yeah, I know the studio's not close, so yeah, I did have to
yeah,
make quite a trip down here.
yeah, I bet. So where can they find you on social media, perhaps?
On social media, you can find me. I do have an Instagram. I do have a YouTube. I actually just uploaded was like 8 or 9 videos, like in one big fucking batch. I made like fake promotional material for Guilty Gear Strive, a game that I've been really into lately. The Guilty Gear series has always been heavily influenced by like hard rock and heavy metal, so I thought it would be fun to go back through their character trailers and put in like Slipknot, for example, and put like actual metal into their
We'll
character
have to talk
trailers.
about Slipknot later on a bit.
Yeah. They're not all bangers. They're not all great, but I'm particularly proud of like Testament and Bridget and Eno and there's a couple others, Chip and Faust. Anyway, I'm still active on there. When Mortal Kombat comes out, I definitely plan on doing, or when Mortal Kombat 1 comes out, I definitely plan on doing like character breakdowns for playing different teams, things like that. So that'll be next month.
For sure, man.
That Oh, that's Samoan guy. I forgot to say it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
the
your name.
YouTube is
That's
that
right.
Samoan guy. That's kind of important, isn't it?
um, Thank you again for coming on by, for taking the time to do this with me. If
Thank you
you,
for being patient
oh no, of
and working with me
course,
on my schedule.
it's all good. We had a lot of things going on in life, so we had to take our time, honestly, with this. But I think it was worth taking our time, though, just to get our thoughts into frame and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
always worth doing.
But if you guys like what you saw here, you guys can always subscribe and like the video. And definitely check out my other previous videos with Simone Guy. We've done a lot of videos back then together, and we're definitely planning on more soon. So stay tuned, and we hope to see you guys next time. See you
Yeah.
guys soon. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.